Hi guys. All right, we're gonna do some more readings from The Satanic Witch by Anton LaVey. It's from like the early 1970s. This book is so amazing though, and especially with all the rubbish about Satanism, like being like, oh god, can't even go there right now. Anyway, but let's read another chapter, shall we? All right. So, the married witch versus the single witch. It would be assumed that to be a witch, one would function better in an unmarried capacity. After all, who ever heard of a witch who was married before a certain television show came into being? Not so state all the rules of witchery. There is no reason why a successful witch cannot be married. Some of the most seductive enchantresses have both husbands and well behaved offspring. Aside from the security a sound marriage can provide, it is obvious that a married woman exerts a much greater fascination than her single sister. The reason for this is the law of the forbidden, which will be discussed later and is, after all, the reason you are reading this book. Unless a witch wishes to appeal through the use of a virginal image, the more experienced she appears, the more desirable she becomes. Very few men will be compelled towards virginity in a woman, except as a fillip to the ego. You know what? I'm gonna fucking stop that right there. Um, this is well. Let me read the whole thing. Okay. All right. This is great because see, there's a lot of cultures where right 72 virgins, or Christianity 1 virgin, or Mormonism 6 virgins, or whatever. It's all about virginity, which is such a whatever. Ugh, that whole thing is just such rubbish. Okay. Unless Unless a witch wishes to appeal through the use of a virginal image, the more experienced she appears, the more desirable she becomes. Very few men will be compelled toward virginity in a woman except as a fillip to the ego. The concept of virginity as a desirable value is viable when one thinks of sacred love and enduring romance. The average male, however, is an animal first and a romanticist second. For this reason, he will always be tempted by the woman who he considers to be of easy virtue. Whether or not a woman is of easy virtue is unimportant when stating the requirements for the witchhood. What is important resides in the hope, the assumption, the promise of sexual availability and experience. If the woman who is known to be single can be assumed to have indulged in sex, then the married woman surely must know what it's like. It is precisely this advertising of one's sexual knowledge that gives the married witch a certain appeal often lacking in the single witch. Now, this has changed a lot since the 70s. He used to tell girls to put on wedding rings, literally so that they would look like they're more sexually available. Now, single girls just are sexually available, so we don't have to worry quite so much about that. Um, Inasmuch as there are very few virgins around nowadays, well, see, there were very few virgins in the 70s, and we can virtually forget the attraction that such a witch could exert. Even the trappings of the virgin that are used in witchery, such as white and pink colors in clothing, must be combined with certain suggestive tricks that will lead to the impression that the wearer is actually sexually available. The fertile deities of the pagans were all transformed, by one name or another, into scarlet woman, witches, and she devils by the good Christians, who wished to make it clear that chastity was a virtue. Therefore, it became the assumption that any woman who exuded sex was of the devil. Sex and the devil must therefore be extended to exemplify the witch as well. For centuries, we have associated the single girl with chastity and the married, divorced, or widowed woman with carnal knowledge. Such associations will not easily leave the mainstream of the unconscious. All of the traditional wedding pranks are directed towards one common goal, and that is the blatant proclamation that the demure young lady in the lacy white gown will soon be bouncing about in sexual abandon. No wonder the expression "blushing bride" was once such an apt description. The prurient stares of those who ogled the young woman as she would alight from the dusty Ford coupe with the "just married" sign and string of tin cans were bound to produce a crimson face, which of course only added even more to the lascivious effect. It was as if the poor girl was carrying a placard reading, "I have been getting laid." Now that our social norms have so radically changed, such phenomena have diminished, but their residue certainly persists. It is for this reason that the married woman, or one who has been married, possesses a sensual edge over the unmarried witch. Oh well, maybe my fucking Facebook name with its double name will help me to get laid in the future. Alright, back to this. It's not my concern anyway. The okay. The disadvantages of being married are obvious. A single witch is freer to engage in success-oriented enchantments, whereas the married witch must watch her step. The witch with a husband who is either agreeable or out of the running may, of course, use her witchery towards sexual ends. The siren who is content with her husband, sexually speaking, but is career-minded, has a vast field of opportunity in which to employ her powers. The witch who is, as the last mentioned, sexually content with her spouse but not inclined towards a career for herself, can become as the legendary sorceress behind the throne of her husband and king. In this way, she can enchant those who her husband could not emotionally reach. So you see, marriage is no handicap to witchery. In fact, there are examples that will be shown later of how it actually pays to say you're married even if you're not. Probably the greatest single disadvantage of the single witch is the often encountered desperation vibrations she throws off. No matter how smug and complacent she may appear to be in her unmarried role, she still carries the underlying stigma of the woman who hasn't been able to catch a man. The stigma that was once associated with witchcraft has been inverted into intrigue, but the only sexual positive inversion of the spinster syndrome is the recent rationale of being a swinger. It is wise for the unmarried witch, who is well into her 20s, to adopt this image, regardless of her personality type, if she has the looks to match it. Okay, I forgot about that last part about swinging. Well, okay, where is that? Bye, guys. Like and subscribe. Thank you.